Okay, so that, I think that's, you know what I heard? I heard you're definitely shutting it down, though. The Beaver thing, the whole the weird tax laws and all that, and that you just can't really announce it. If you were to say it, it sort of becomes weird, but we'll just see what happens.
Well, we're not through the process yet, so if you know, I don't know. And I think that would be interesting, but I hope so. I might not, but I hope I would.
Let's talk about the content side of the business.
Sure.
And actually, let's just describe the business. Am I right in thinking about AOL as you've got a homepage, you've got communications and consumer-facing applications, mail, ICQ stuff, live stream, and then there's the content side of the business, and then there's advertising. Is that the right way to? Is that
paid services also?
Pardon me?
The paid services also. So we have access.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
So we actually sell other services than just access. So that's something else.
Okay. So but other than that, that's the right way to bucket things. So let's talk about content.
Sure.
Explain to me how building content in such a formulaic factory way is good for the world.
Sure. So let me describe what we're really doing with content, and then you can.
And I know you're on both sides, right?
No, but you can correct me. So what our plan in content is the following. And let me just describe how we're going about it. Is at the top of the food chain there is distribution or UVs, unique visitors, and advertising. So those are the things that we're aiming for over time. Underneath that, you have a set of what I would consider mega brands. This is the movie phones, the gadgets, the Black Voices, those very niche passion content areas we have. You have the AOL homepage, you have a number of other properties. Next to that, you have what I would consider the disruptor brands, which is the...
we actually have a trademark on that name.
Oh, you do? The disruptor? Okay, I'll tell you afterwards. We have things like Seed and Patch and some other things that we're working on.
Yeah.
But I want to be crystal clear about this piece of it, is we actually see content as larger than just funding AOL properties. We see content as the ability to fund our properties, other people's properties, and we are focused on quality. I don't know whether or not the world needs more low-quality content. And so I would just say that as a blanket statement. So when you talk about robotic content and content farms and factories, that has a connotation that it's a negative, or it's,
it would be,
it's a negative. I don't believe what we're doing is going to be negative. I believe it's going to be very positive for consumers.
So demand media is clearly that.
Is clearly what, a content factory or?
Yeah, your words, not mine.
Right.
Just kidding. But do you agree that they seem to be just a different market than you are?
I mean, I believe
chasing SEO, chasing.
Yeah, we're creating content. A lot of the content we're creating fits in a lot of different buckets, and some of it has no commercial viability, right? And I think a lot of it does have commercial viability. But what we look at is when we think about the AOL community and audience is how do you best serve consumers at the broadest scale possible with great content experiences. I don't hear tons of our competitors, describing themselves in that vein. I hear people saying we're creating commercial content commercially for commercial use, and I think that is a different slice than what we're looking at, which is how do you create the world's best content, entertaining content, simple content, broad content, journalistic content, and we have a fairly, deep strategy around this area.
And you have how many journalists now?
We have 4,000.
4,000. I mean, these are 4,000 actual people who are being paid. And these are full-time or not?
We have about 500 full-time, and there's 3,500 part-time, but some of those part-time people get paid.
It's just about the biggest newsroom in the world, right?
Probably.
I mean, I don't know how you count the part-time people, but is that model going to work?
I think it will work, actually, and I think.
You're a competitor with New York Times. You're a competitor with Condé Nast. You're a competitor with, right?
Yeah, I think we're also, frankly, a partner with them as well. So I don't see the content as a zero-sum game. I see the content as how do you have a platform which basically is great for end users, great for the economics of the business, and great for our properties as well as partners. And that's why I think our content strategy is fairly broad as a contextual element. I think that's what people have misunderstood about our strategy, which is the content engines we're building should enhance higher quality content more often, more of the time for our properties, but also for other people's properties as well.
Is it also about creating many brands?
I think the brand question for us
That's
right
what I'm talking about Condé Nast, right?
Yeah, so I think that, we roughly have, over 200 consumer-facing brands.
Like Engadget.
Yes, right. So we basically I don't think all of the brands we're doing right now, some of the brands we're doing right now are features, should be features inside of other properties. And I think we may end up having more and more brands over time, but we're going through a brand architecture right now, which is actually determining what are features and what are brands. And I think that, that work will be very meaningful for the company moving forward around what brands we have and how we focus on it.
Carol Barks called AOL a mini Yahoo a couple of months ago. And then they bought Associated Content, which clearly competes with the content side of your business. What's your response to that? And I'm not looking for like something snarky. Like, how do you actually see yourself in position with Yahoo and different and weaker and better?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, I think that we have a very clearly defined strategy. I think if you talk to our the people we work with at AOL and our partners, I think what you would hear from us, what they would say about AOL is AOL is has a clearly defined focus, and I think that is a difference in the marketplace. And I think two is, AOL is not. I don't know what she was referring to when she said that. She may have been referring to the fact that we have a more concise strategy, and if we have a mini strategy, that's probably a positive. So thank you very much. But the second piece of it, I think, is that if you want to talk to our customers in general, I think we are head-to-head competitive with a lot of the bigger players in the marketplace. And if I would just have you, if you want to call 20 customers and ask them where does AOL fit on the radar screen, I think we're fitting in fairly nicely now in terms of the progress we've made. I think a year ago that wasn't the case, but I think today we are.
Okay. I want to take a question or two. Is that okay?
Unless Zero asking the first question.
No, we have very limited time left, but we do have time left, right?
Okay. The mayor's here?
So the mayor's here, but does the mayor want to come on stage right this second? Or does the mayor want to come on stage in 2 minutes?
Yeah, 2 minutes.
And he does want to, okay, he wants to come on stage. So we're going to take a question, and we're going to take this question right here. And I'll repeat it. Yeah, so the question is, can you explain Patch's business model?
Sure. So Patch's business model, I'm not going to go into huge detail around this because this is very strategic for us, but Patch's business model is really the following things, which is there are a lot of communities in this country and other countries that don't actually have the amount of information they should have in relation to living life locally in the community. We're in 53 markets right now in 5 different states. We are basically digitizing towns. We're going in and putting the entire town online on one platform. The business model underneath it basically is the following things. Drop a journalist into the town. Innovator's dilemma. The math behind this is very positive, which is if you are a fan of Clay Christensen's work, which is can you do 80% of the things at 15% of the cost? I think Patch is that type of model for local journalism and local business. And then the secondary piece of it, I think, which is very positive, is we're able, once you get things digitized and once you drop the journalist in, you're able to put together a fairly large community there with viable traffic and viable business behind it. So we're planning on rolling Patches out more broadly. We think it's a need. We know it's a need actually, and we feel like we're going to give it a go. It's a big white space, and I don't know. There's a lot of other people doing a lot of other things in local, but we're really taking local to a local level, and it's really about community at the end of the day.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Everyone?